Please note that this speech contains sensitive content. Don't judge a situation you've never been in. Mitchell Perry once said, "Hi, my name is Megan and I'm a teen advocate for suicide prevention and mental health awareness." Do you know the famous Judy Garland, aka Dorothy? She was also suicidal despite the smile on her face in the movie The Wizard of Oz and in her everyday life. This shows that you can still be suicidal despite appearing fine. Your friend can be suicidal and show up to gatherings in their job. Your very own child can be suicidal and tell you that they're fine. You might ask, Megan, how do you know so much about this topic at such a young age? The answer to that question, I felt this way too when I was 11 and 12 years old. Suicidal thoughts is like fighting with your very own mind every day and just begging for it to be over. I see my friends hurting every day, and it breaks my heart knowing that they're hurting, but are too afraid to say something in fear that their parents won't believe them, or simply say they're overreacting and tell them it's all in their head. And yes, I'm sure you might say, not my child. I'm here to tell you, yes, your child. Did you know that suicide is the second leading cause of death among people ages 15 to 24? Did you know that the almost 17% of teens, grades 8 through 12 throughout Fairfax County, have reported that they have thought of suicide in 2021, and about 6% of them going through with it? So yes, it could very much be your child. What I'm hoping is that parents not in this room, but throughout Fairfax County understand and believe your children when they say they're struggling with suicidal thoughts. Do not say they're overreacting or too sensitive. If you'd like more information, please look at the Instagram page at Your Mental Health is a Priority, as they have great information on how to care for your loved ones with mental illnesses. Thank you.
Norma Margulies.
Good evening. My name is Norma Margulies. I am a FCPS parent, and
Excuse me, and pause your time, please. We need to back up away from the dais, please, and stay back by the seats if you want to record. Yes, pass that first aisle. That's fine. You may continue.
Yes, as stated, I am a FCPS parent, and I'm the founding director of Hispanics for STEM. We are a pro bono association of parents dedicated to the promotion of STEM and computer science education among Hispanic students, in particular low-income students in Northern Virginia. November 7 is a monumental date. It's truly important for all the families and all members of the community. Why? Because we have the chance to elect new members of the school board. However, Hispanics for STEM have noted that whenever we talk about elections and the candidates and the opportunities to choose a new board, most of our parents don't have the information. In this connection, we welcome, salute, congratulate the Northern Virginia Hispanic Chambers of Commerce, who has invited the two candidates for the Providence Magisterial District for a forum with the PTAs, the 19 PTAs. Northern Virginia Hispanic Chambers of Commerce has invited Mr. Carl Frisch and Mr. Tony Savio to attend at this groundbreaking event where they will be answering questions of members of the community. As of now, we have learned that Mr. Tony Savio has agreed to participate. It will take Saturday, June 3rd, from 2 to 4 at Providence Community Center. Unfortunately, we have not heard from Mr. Carl Frisch. So I'm here publicly to encourage Mr. Frisch to attend this event, to face your constituency, to face the families, and answer the questions why they should vote for you again. Thank you.
Tony Savio.
So I wanted to address this board again about school safety, which has been very troubling like I did earlier this month. But I wanted to speak a little bit about something that's really concerning that came out in Fairfax Times suggesting that the American flag artwork that's depicted in the school board office has caused triggers. And I kind of want to talk about what that means to a veteran. What I have here is a flag that was flown in Afghanistan in 2010 when I deployed many times. This flag embodies a lot to veterans. It embodies the freedom and diversity of this country. Myself and other veterans sacrificed our lives overseas, with some of them never returning for that. We sacrificed life to protect the American way, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We serve to protect the diversity of this country, from the traditional families to our LGBTQ community right over there. That is embodied in this flag. We serve to protect the American dream of every child in this country, regardless of who they are, and that is embodied in this American flag. So what I want you to do is, when you think of this flag and what it represents, I want you to look at it from a different prism, a prism of freedom, of hope, of what our country can be if we could get through the negativity and get through this diversity, or get through the division and create what our founding fathers see in this American flag and what every veteran sees in this American flag. Thank you.
Il Young Moon.
Mr. Carprish, that's my cookie. Madam Chair, the honorable members of the school board, and Dr. Wick, good evening. When you were in the closed session, by the way, you missed a great impromptu performance by a Mount Vernon High School varsity singers. One of the music they performed was none other than the most popular Korean traditional folk song called Arirang. So you should go to their concert in Mount Vernon sometime to listen to that. My name is Il Young Moon, and I'm glad to be here this evening to share a few points for your consideration. Since I only have 2 minutes, I'll make them very succinct. First, on the world language programs we provide in our schools. I have always believed in the importance of providing our students with opportunities to learn other languages beginning in the early grades. Waiting until the middle or high school years is often too late. As we try to train future leaders of the world, it will be vital for those leaders to understand the languages of the countries we want them to lead. Earlier this evening, when we were celebrating the 20th anniversary of Colin Powell Elementary School, we noted the success of the school's two-way Korean immersion program. That program is the pride of the school and only available at Colin Powell. I believe that should be offered in more schools. Second, on the adoption of the budget this evening, I applaud the efforts of the school board to expand the pre-K program. However, we should consider accelerating the program expansion. And the school board's continued focus on this through the strategic plan is appreciated. As we know, about 23% of our kindergarteners have no pre-K experience. That equates to about 2,600 students.
Thank you.
Shelley Arnaldi.
Hi. So I was pleased to learn that you've added middle school sports to the budget for next year. Thank you. This should address some of the mental health issues plaguing our children. Yesterday, I received an email reporting that FCPS is committed to supporting social and emotional success of all students, and it pointed to SEL instruction materials, including identity tools and dangerous divisive concepts. I'd like to know what benefit was gained by the $2.4 million contract you awarded in 2020 to the company co-founded by the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland's son-in-law for the SEL screener. The justification in the RFP said that schools had become de facto mental health providers, and while parents did not ask for you to be the de facto mental health providers, and you have no business taking this role on. SOL and SAT scores continue to drop, and the kids appear to have lost the ability to critically think as a result of the SEL nonsense. So it's time to stop the experiment and go back to focusing on academics. Please remove the SEL program and redirect unspent funding towards core academics or athletics. Now I'd like to shift to the Students' Rights and Responsibilities document. The 124-page book is full of rules and restrictions that are in direct violation of the First Amendment of the Constitution. You define hate speech as any form of expression intended to humiliate or incite hatred. And the minimum punishment for the first infraction is participation in a culturally responsive intervention. Now, I don't know what that means, but it's ridiculous, and it's not okay for you to do it to my child. The vague speech restrictions cause a lot of stress on children because they're afraid to say what they think and they fear punishment. I know this because my own children have attended Fairfax County Public Schools for 13 years, and they're incapable of accurately describing another individual using physical descriptions such as skin color, hair color, body size, or ethnicity. Speech was protected in the First Amendment because it's the most important thing to preserve a free society. Sorry, the rest is out of time.
Mitchell Hewitt. Kahira Bagdaja. Cassandra Alcoin.
Good evening. I'm Cassandra Alcoin, and thank you for letting me speak tonight. What I'm going to speak about is the 3-day weekend that we're all about ready to go into with our schools. Our schools are starting this 3-day weekend, and on Monday we're going to observe an American holiday, the Memorial Day, a day where we honor the over 1 million men and women who have died while serving in the U.S. military. Yes, there will be parades and ceremonies, but do our students really know what this day is about? Do they know that this was a day set aside to remember the U.S. military who sacrificed their lives for our country? At every school board meeting I've attended, there's been always a resolution or a remembrance for a special event or an event in our history. Has there been one for our U.S. military who have sacrificed their lives for our country? Memorial Day is very personal to me. I'm a military daughter, military wife, and now a military mom. And I've seen firsthand the sacrifices that our young military men and women make every single day. I've witnessed heartbreaking scenes where families waited at the pier or on the tarmac thinking their husband could actually come home, but they knew they had died at sea. So it concerns me that we have become complacent in educating our students about Memorial Day and what it represents, and educating them on the sacrifices that our military have made so that we can enjoy our freedom and liberties today. Unfortunately, there's been anti-American rhetoric that has come from the school board, and we know what that is, from the anti-American flag recent sentiment, as well as the Iwo Jima, where we lost 7,000 soldiers. Additionally, our children aren't learning U.S. history. The recent reports about only 13% of our 8th graders being proficient or above proficiency in U.S. history is disturbing. So I've lived across the globe, and I can tell you the American flag is one of the most recognizable images in the world. We need to let our students know that they should be proud to display it. We need to teach them U.S. history. We need to make sure they have an understanding of the contributions of our U.S. military.
Cheryl Binkley.
Good news and bad news of the month. We have built a remarkable set of schools in our community for our young people, and you have a lot to do with that. But also the staff, our faculties, all of our people in our schools, and our students. There are those who do not want to just disrupt those schools, though. They would dismember them. I come to warn you not about the culture wars, but what the administration in Richmond is doing behind the scenes while the flags and rallies and Twitter threads ebb and flow. The lab schools they are proposing have a little-known requirement that creates a governing body that removes power from local school boards to administer those schools. There are also several new ways that they are moving education money behind the scenes that was allocated to education to private hands outside of the procurement rules. And I don't have time to give you all those yet, but they're there. So you are the bulwark. This requires you to be ever diligent, braver than you thought you could be or would have to be, and stronger than those who would destroy what we have built as communities. As you attend the award ceremonies and the graduations and stare at those thousands of smiling faces ready to venture forth into the world, let that remind you that the work you have done is not just good work. It is the sacred future that we must preserve.
Misha Chernov.
Good evening. I am Misha Chernoff. I am a Fairfax County teacher. I would like to speak about the OAG work session held last Thursday and the discussion that took place regarding having an audit performed on ERFC, which is the Supplemental Pension Program. Much of the meeting was spent requesting that OAG move up the timeline to audit our pension plan. However, right now, employees are struggling with our new health care plan. I suggest that instead of auditing ERFC, the board audit Cigna. The OAG could procure a specialized healthcare claims auditor to determine whether the claims that are processed and paid are compliant with the covenants of the plan, determine opportunities for recovering payments erroneously processed, and could determine if internal controls are adequate and operating effectively. It was troubling to hear conversations about eliminating the pension for new hires and putting that money instead in the pay scale to attract millennials. I'm not a betting woman, but if I were, I would bet that if that 6% is not earmarked for our pension, that money will never see daylight in the pay scale. We are all aware there are organizations that are salivating at the thought of dismantling our Fairfax County supplemental employee pension. I need and employees need a school board that is going to champion this essential benefit, which can only be found in Fairfax County. No other school district in the Commonwealth has this defined benefit plan. I want to thank you, Mr. Frisch, for your statement of support when you shared the shift away from defined benefits across the country has made retirement less secure for every worker where it has taken place. Employees need you to audit Cigna. Doing so will let us know you hear us and are taking action to improve the system. Thank you.
Asra Nomani.
My name is Asra Numani. I came before you 3 years ago. I came to you with sincerity of parents everywhere. What you all decided to do was poke the bear, the mama bear. You decided that you were going to use your 12-0 Democratic majority on the Fairfax County School Board to put a reign of tyranny into our public school system. You put us up against a cleanup crew in the community to clean up your dirty work. I call them Antifa because just like the far left Antifa movement, they are about character assassination and destruction. And what is it that you did then? You put a hit on our #1 high school. It is Asian American Pacific Islander Month. I am an immigrant from India, and you erased us. John Foster, your council, is celebrating this week because you won a decision by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals to continue your racist, anti-Asian, unconstitutional policy to TJ, Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. I'm going to tell you how this is going to go. This is the decision. These red flags are going to bring you into the annals of history as the racist and the white supremacist agents that you are in channeling supremacy over others. We will not tolerate it, and you will go down in history as losing in the U.S. Supreme Court. Just like Brown versus Board of Education, Coalition for TJ versus Fairfax County will be historic.
Tiffany Anderson.
Thank you, Board, especially Ms. Laura Jane Cohen, for listening to my husband and I's plea to, yes, reinforce the proponent of middle school sports. It's a much better way for these developing minds to spend their time. As we all know, these young developing minds until age 25 don't have a prefrontal cortices to really make wise decisions. And in fact, it took one dad coach tonight, one neighbor, one aunt to get from soccer, baseball, so that I could be here. And that was repeated a handful of times during the winter because I got to be a part of your strategic planning committee for the family representation. As a first-generation American, I spoke Spanish first, so there was a hurdle just to learn the language. But unfortunately, my education did bring me into the vastness of a bullying world, which I received, given what my outward appearance may have looked like to other children at the time. Being a mother of a child who's been bullied, I know and I honestly pray for the right resources to give him. But what was amazing was 2 different religions coming from those 2 different family backgrounds were able to reconcile. And I think that's what we're called to do, is to reconcile, to talk, and to discuss our needs. And one of the things that we did as a family was chose Fairfax County over LA County schools because of your academic excellence. My husband and his whole family is an alum from here. We're very grateful for it. However, there have been some things that have caused harm and concern through SEL. In fact, my almost freshman says, "Mom, I just answer the questions randomly because I don't understand what they're saying." So I let your board know this just because I need you to take into account these developing young minds and the pressure placed on them. They're not yet quite adults. They will be one day, and we will empower them. But I plea for you to the equity policy. Please give your community partners time to review and partner with each of you. We're here to support, not to tear down, but to build a bridge. And I'm grateful for the time you have because this was really hard to make tonight, but I'm here. Thank you.
Madam Chair, that was our last public speaker.